VitaCyte is a company that's using as a platform purified tissue dissociation enzymes to start improving cell isolation techniques from tissues and organs. And what the focus of the company is to actually integrate all this knowledge, not only preparing better enzymes and improving the quality of the enzymes, but we're also improving the quality of the assays and the processes as well, as we work with a number of leading laboratories, especially now. In the past, and with islet isolation labs, we're now doing hepatocyte isolation and now moving into stem cell from tissue. We do our own isolations in-house, so we view ourselves as being a customer of our own products. So we're very much concerned and want the feedback from the market about how our products are working. And in the end, in essence, we want to start developing better reagents and processes such that these very expensive procedures will be more reproducible and get quicker regulatory approval such that it benefits patient care.
So it sounds like you're going to increase efficiencies in whatever it is.
We're increasing efficiencies, and a lot of it gets into just, again, asking why don't we have this type of assay, why don't we have this type of reagent? And being a small company, we're nimble, we can move fairly quickly. We've been funded primarily by small business innovation research grants, and the reason we continue to get the funding for these grants and win these awards is simply there's a strong need for these types of technologies in the market.
You mentioned kind of adding stem cells in the mix. How are you using stem cells?
We are now working with one of the leading labs to try to understand what is the, if you will, the parameters, or what's the characteristics of a good blend, of a good enzyme mixture. Most people use crude collagenase, which is actually a very dirty material. Only 4 or 5% of the actual protein in the mixture is active enzyme. So a lot of this, for example, is pigment as a byproduct. And so what we're trying to do when working with that lab as well as any other lab is to try to define what are the characteristics of a good performing enzyme mixture, replicate those characteristics so they can move on and spend more of their time doing productive work rather than trying to find the right lot of enzyme. Because our enzyme components are all defined and can be manufactured consistently.
What's the latest updates with the company? What's been happening recently?
We just were awarded a phase 2 SBIR grant to do recombinant forms of these enzymes, which we already have manufactured. We've already produced in-house on lab scale, and we're translating that and to try to define porcine islet isolation. So in fact, which is you know, a very big issue for xenotransplant to treat diabetes, and we're working with leading labs on trying to understand what that composition is. Isolating porcine islets is much more difficult than isolating human islets, but I think the rewards are there if you're able to solve that problem.